Hello everyone, I'm Pauline Arnaud-Blanchard, co-founder and CEO of Europe Entrepreneurs. Since 2008, Europe Entrepreneurs is the first French activist incubator that empowers people with disabilities who want to access entrepreneurship. So what's the issue about access entrepreneurship for disabled people? In France, the unemployment rate of disabled people is practically twice as high as the national average. There are more than 530,000 disabled job seekers. 80,000 of the 2.7 million working-age disabled people are disabled independent workers. They tend to create businesses that are remarkably sustainable and, for many, successful. Their 3 years survival rate is about 75%, whereas the national average is about 63%. Every year, 8,000 disabled people try to start on their own venture. Even more, nearly 800,000 entrepreneurs become disabled every year. Nevertheless, in France, there are 9 times less disabled people who try to create their own business every year compared to the national average, even with a stagnant unemployment rate. Among European and Middle Western incubators, 23% of supported projects focus on disability issues, and 13% of all projects supported by incubators surveyed are led by people with disability. 69% of incubators say that sponsors are interested in projects related to disability, but only 14% of incubators have a focus on disability in their selection process. All those facts show us that entrepreneurship by people with disabilities is an economic but still invisible reality to take into account. What is the problem to solve about access to entrepreneurship for people with disabilities? There are 3 challenges for people with disabilities to create their business. A lack of skills, economic knowledge, or cultural background to start a business. Related constraints or consequences of disabilities, such as accessibility or physical limitation, that can isolate disabled people who want to become entrepreneurs. Finally, a lack of economic resources or professional network to start on their own business. How to improve the incubation processes to make them more inclusive for disabled entrepreneurs and more attractive for projects tackling disability-related issues? How can you, incubators from all around Europe and Middle East, improve your support to social entrepreneurs with disabilities and disabilities-oriented projects? Let's talk about it.
Engelli bireyin bir kuluçka programında karşılaşabileceği engeller fiziksel, davranışsal veya içerik kaynaklı olabiliyor. Eğer kuluçka merkezi mimari açıdan yeterince erişilebilir değilse, öncelikle bu mekana ulaşmakta zorluklarla karşılaşabiliyorlar. İçeriklerin erişilebilir olmadığı durumlar da oluyor. Örneğin bir toplantıda işaret dili bilen bir katılımcı yoksa veya çevirmen bulunmuyorsa ya da paylaşılan bir görsel, yazılı dokümana görme engelli tarafından sesli erişim sağlanmıyorsa içerikler erişimde engel oluşturur demektir. Diğer taraftan kuluçka topluluğundaki kişilerin engelli bireylerle doğru iletişimi kuramaması da davranışsal bir engel haline gelebiliyor çoğu zaman.
Sürecin en başından itibaren katılımcı bir yaklaşım benimsemelerini öneririz. Yapılması gereken mimari düzenlemeler de geliştirilecek davranış stratejisi de sürece sonradan eklenebilecek şeyler değil. Çünkü bunlar temel unsurlar. Bu sebeple de program tasarımının en başından itibaren kullanıcıların farklılıklarını, ihtiyaçlarını göz önünde bulundurarak aslında herkes için deneyim eşitliği sunan bir kuluçka ortamı yaratılmalı.
Incubation programs have to work with non-governmental organizations focused on disability because they know the solution and they create the solution, but they don't know this journey is an entrepreneurial journey. Secondly, incubation programs have to think about physical accessibility standards. They have to create standard guidelines, and all the incubation programs should follow these standards. Accessibility for elevators, accessibility for bathrooms, accessibility for entrance, and so on. And digital accessibility is another approach to reach blind, visually impaired, and deaf people. Incubators have to take consideration on digital accessibility, and these standards are created by World Wide Web Consortium, and these are called Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Social media always is not only choice to reach disabled people. Therefore, incubation programs search for the email group of disabled people and Facebook groups for disabled group or WhatsApp groups. Incubation programs have to look for the change makers. They have to find them. One way to do this, work with inclusion departments of the universities, because those departments know the disabled people and they know what they are doing to make disabled life easier and better.
I would recommend three main things. The first one is to help handicapped people to be more confident in their own projects, in their own capacities. Because when you are handicapped, you have a barrier which is higher than every other entrepreneur. The second advice would be about the specific rights of handicapped people. They do have specific rights, and they have to understand, and you can convince them that they don't have to be ashamed to take advantage of the position. It's a characteristic of themselves, and they have to take that into account. And the third piece of advice is to help them to develop their business, because it's more difficult and it's specific to develop commercial activities when you are handicapped. So the issue is to help them to find the good message. I am an handicapped entrepreneur, but I'm not only an handicapped entrepreneur, I'm also entrepreneur. A handicapped entrepreneur is an handicapped person, and he is also, or she is also, an entrepreneur. That means that in an incubator, it is necessary to organize time of sharing between handicapped entrepreneurs each other, because they need to share their practice, their adventures. But it is also very necessary to organize times of sharing with entrepreneurs, I would say regular entrepreneurs, the other entrepreneurs in the incubator. And to complete and to enrich this time of sharing, it is important to organize a mentorship with an entrepreneur with a disability who already succeeded.
Thanks to all of our three experts for their relevant testimonies. What can we keep in mind to support better social entrepreneurs with disabilities and projects aiming at solving disability-related problems? Have in mind accessibility issues such as physical, language, communication, content barriers when designing an inclusive incubation program. Accessibility can be in different forms: physical, digital, communicational. Include role models with handicaps as mentors as well. Participative approach is important. Involve the people with disability in the program design. Accessibility issues provide solutions, of course, but human compensation must be as well provided to take care of specific needs that can occur in your programs. Let's be together inclusive makers with inclusive incubation programs all around Europe and Middle East.